I'd like to open up the regular schedule City Council meeting of September 8, 2018 at 7:30 at the Frank Williams Auditorium. Open meeting law statement: this meeting is being televised live on cable channel 9 and being taped by a Peabody Access TV and also being recorded by the City Council stenographer. Would the members, candidates here to apply for the charter review, please stand and lead us in the pledge and the moment of silence, if you would. To the flag, the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. With that said, we'll go right into the Charter Review Committee. Councilor Gravel, take.
Thank you very much, Council President. This evening we're going to be hearing from the 8 candidates who have put their name in for consideration to be on the Charter Review Committee. I want to say in advance of of everything that will occur that all of us here truly appreciate you volunteering, putting your name out there and requesting to be on the committee. We have the City Council has an obligation to pick only 3, and we will select the 3 by an open ballot. And but after you will have your opportunity to come up and spend 5 minutes at the most, basically stating your case, why you believe you want to be on the committee, and anything that you feel would be helpful for the council to consider your nominations. So I'm going to go in alphabetical order because Tim gave me a ballot that's in alphabetical order, and I think we'll work that way. When you do come up to speak, please say your name and address for the record so that Allison can record it, and then feel free, if you go long, please be advised that I will raise my hand and say, okay, thank you. And I'm not being rude at that point in time. I'm just trying to keep us within the time frame that we allotted fairly for everybody. So, first up on the ballot is Peter Bakula.
Mr. Chairman.
There you go. Yes, sir.
Magic button. My name is Peter Bakula. I reside at 278 Newbury Street, Lot 51. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Peabody and a graduate of Salem State University, where I minored in political science and received a bachelor's degree in professional writing. I was a candidate for council at large in the past 3 city elections and currently serve as the vice chair of the Peabody Democratic City Committee. As many of you know, my political activism began early, right out of high school, participating in campaigns or frequently writing letters to the editor. I consider this to be a very big deal. For the first time in our 100-year history, Peabody is going to take a good hard look at its charter and make the necessary changes needed so that it adequately addresses our city's present-day needs. I always wonder what our city founders were thinking when they alternated elections for the school committee, but not for anyone else. Or does it make sense that a candidate needs to gather the same amount of signatures, whether they're running for a ward seat or citywide? I would consider it an honor and a privilege to serve on the Charter Review Committee and set this city up right for its next 100 years. I respectfully ask for your consideration and support.
Thank you very much, Peter. Councilor McGinn, you had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not a question, but a quick motion, just under suspension of the rules, move to receive a late communication from His Honor the Mayor dated November 8th, 2018. So moved. And on the motion, Mr. Chairman, this is a list of the mayor's appointees to the Charter Commission.
Thank you, Counselor. You heard the Counselor. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. The next up would be Keith Doucette. And if I could, Councilor Manning Martin, motion to receive the communication via email from Keith Doucette.
Yes, so moved, Mr. Chairman.
On the motion, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Mr. Keith Doucette was unable to attend this evening, so he did send in a statement via email and asked that I read it into record, so I will do that. Good evening, honorable members of the Peabody City Council. I am unable to make tonight's meeting due to prior work commitments. In the future, and if chosen for the committee, this will not be an issue as I can work my schedule around set meetings. I have lived in Peabody all my life and have tried to give back when I can. I have been involved and volunteered at the schools and during community events. I would like to help review the charter and revise if needed to help Peabody continue to grow and move forward. I think I can bring to the table the mindset of the average Peabody resident and to make sure a balance is maintained that takes all those ideas into account when making decisions. I have written and revised policy and procedure, built training plans, wrote RFPs, and designed project and construction schedules over the years. My ability to work with a diverse group of people to plan and prioritize will be helpful in this review process to make sure we are making the correct changes and receiving and using input from all members. I participated in a review of the school improvement plan about 14 years ago. I hope the group that will be brought together for this committee will be the same type of folks I worked with in that group. Our charter is one of the most important documents the city has, and it should not be taken lightly to review or revise unless the people of the city have been involved in the process. I would like the City Council to consider me for this committee, and if selected, I will do my best to help the review process move along quickly and easily. Thank you for your time and consideration. Keith Doucette, 18 Surrey Lane, Peabody, Mass. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, Councilor. Motion to receive and bring into the record. On the motion, all in favor, any opposed, is a vote. We now have Christopher Gilbert from...
My name is Chris Gilbert, and I currently live at 55 Granite Road, which is in Ward 1. I've been a proud citizen of this city for my entire life, although 1 year I did live in Danvers when my daughter was born many years ago. I've been married to my best friend Debbie for over 27 years. We proudly have 3 children. Caitlin, also a citizen of Ward 1. She lives there with her husband Jared Ingersoll and my 1-year-old grandson JJ. Caitlin graduated from Suffolk University with a degree in criminal justice. My twin sons, Nicholas and Kyle, both in their senior years at college. Where does time go? Nicholas currently attends the George Washington University in D.C. He's studying international affairs and geography. My son Kyle is a senior at New England College in Henniker, New Hampshire. He is also a criminal justice major with huge ambitions to be a police officer. I offer my 30 years of experience in public service to the committee. I've been an employee of the Commonwealth of Mass for these past 30 years, specifically with the Department of Youth Services, currently as the role of an investigator. In my public service experience, I participated in numerous initiatives and committees in an effort to better the lives of the kids that we serve, with hopes that they find their way back to their communities and become productive citizens. For approximately 10 years of my DYS career, I was a local union president for ASME Local 1368, which represented over 600 employees of the department. My passion for the working man and the rights led me to obtain my current position as investigator, which there are only 2 of us for a very large department. We have approximately 54 programs throughout the Commonwealth, one of which is in our community. I'm not a career politician by any means. I'm just a proud citizen of the city that I love, a city that my grandfather immigrated to back in the early 1900s from a little island off the coast of Portugal, a city where my mother was born, a city where I raised my children, and now a city where my grandson is being raised. If selected, I look forward to working with Chairman Gravel, Councilors Manning, Martin, McGinn, and ultimately the entire City Council to address any issues with the charter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Our next up is Rob Mareshi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rob Mareshi, 5 Jennings Circle. My wife and I, Deb, have 2 children. My daughter Olivia's in the high school. My son Ryan's 5th grade at the Burke School. Since becoming a resident of Peabody in 2006, I've been involved with numerous organizations, including Peabody Youth Soccer, Peabody West Little League, PBA, and last year I actually coached the 8th grade girls basketball team at the Higgins Middle School. In addition to the many sports organizations that I've been involved with, I was also a treasurer of the McCarthy PTO, past treasurer of the Higgins PTO, as well as a current member of the Higgins School Council. Professionally, I'm the chief procurement officer in the city of Everett, a city which in 2013 went through a similar exercise and adopted an entire new charter. In addition to those responsibilities, I am the vice chairman of the Cavarian School Building Committee in Everett, which is responsible for building a new K-8 elementary school, as well as a voting member of the School Finance Review Commission, which was a commission that came about as a result of the charter change. In addition, I'm also MCPPO certified through the Inspector General's MCPPO program. I believe that my community engagement and professional municipal experience makes me a viable candidate for this commission, and if appointed, would be an honor and a privilege to serve and protect the historical aspects of Peabody, as well as be able to shape the future of the city. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mareshi. Next up will be Stephanie Peach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Stephanie Peach, 19 Margin Terrace. Thank you for having me here today. I know most of you through my work that I've done being involved in the community thus far. I was born and raised here in Peabody schools. I then went out to Western Mass, got my bachelor's degree in history and political science. Came back here, worked in the State House while I earned my master's in public administration at the McCormick Graduate School. I know you had the Collins Center here to advise on this charter. That was a lot of what I did in my master's program. One of my assignments was to go back and look at your local town or city charter, see when it was last updated, when it was adopted, how many times it's been amended. And I'll tell you, Peabody was the oldest. It was the most confusing to try to navigate. And so when I heard that the city was going to take on this task, I was thrilled to be able to put my name in to participate. My whole family lives here in Peabody. My husband and I just welcomed a baby girl 10 weeks ago. So being able to update this charter, make it more transparent for the citizens of Peabody, I think that goes a long way. It's something we can all agree upon. Knowing that this is a huge undertaking now, but will make governing much easier as we move forward into the future, I think is such a big, important task, and I ask for your vote so I may be able to participate in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Next up, Michael Schultz.
Hi, my name's Mike Schultz. I think everybody knows me. I've been around for a long time. I started with the Save Brooksby Committee in 1975, 74. I was with the J.C.'s in the 72. I've worked with every mayor since Mavroulas all the way through. I've been on several boards, commissions. I'm currently the chairman of the CPC since 2002. Currently also working with veterans services here in the city. I've been chairman of the Environmental Control Commission, et cetera. I think I've worked with everybody but maybe Mark here at one time or another. And I think I know enough about the city and about the city government, et cetera, to have an effect on the charter thing. And I'd be very pleased to do it. I think the last review we had was 2004, I believe, so it's probably something that's coming up. I even know some of the oddball laws that got passed over the years that, have to show up someplace. But please consider me for one of your 3 votes. And does anybody have any questions of me?
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Sudi Smoller.
Good evening. My name's Sudi Smoller. I live at 3 Loman Circle in West Peabody. Thank you for this opportunity. I've been a resident of Ward 6 since 1985. That's 33 years. So compared to these folks who have been born and raised here, I'm somewhat of a carpetbagger, but I have tried to add to the city's culture. Peabody is the longest place I have ever lived. My children were educated in Peabody Public Schools, and I have been lucky and proud to both live and work in the city. My first job here while my children were young was as correspondent of the Peabody Weekly News. For 10 years, I reported on local government, the City Council, School Committee, Planning Board, as well as the Conservation Commission and the Rent Control Board. I also had the opportunity to research and share stories of local history, and I am amazed by the city's rich history, in particular, the city's extraordinary women's history. The intersection of government and history in my life, as well as my and others' efforts to establish a League of Women Voters in Peabody in the 1990s, led me to inquire as to our charter. The LWV of Peabody expressed an interest in reviewing the city charter, but did not follow through. Through the years as a citizen activist, I have worked to inform citizens to the role of women have played in our city and promoted the role of women in government and society. These efforts included creating a contingent to march in the city's 75th anniversary parade in honor of Mary Upton Farron and other early Peabody women suffragists. In 1848, Mary Upton Farron was the first person to petition the legislature in support of women's rights. Organizing Women's History Month events in the city during March for 8 years, presenting Mary Upton Farron's story to Peabody elementary and middle school students, organizing a Women's Equality Day walk, presenting the history of early women elected officials to the school committee, publishing a book about Mary Upton Farron, organizing the publication of an annual bookmark to honor a local woman of significance such as Eliza Sutton, Mary Ophelia Stevens, and Mary Osborne Barrett, and organizing a naming contest for the Peabody Independent Greenway that highlighted local history and women's history along the trail. Recently, I have been involved with the Peabody Suffrage Centennial Committee, a group of Peabody community members who have been meeting to discuss possible projects to commemorate the upcoming 100th anniversary of women getting the right to vote. One of the aims of the Peabody Suffrage Centennial Committee is to work to revise the city charter, remove outdated references, and make the charter's language more inclusive. Currently, I'm the library media specialist at the Higgins Middle School and enjoy teaching all our students library skills and the importance of language and words. This is the 9th year I have organized the Higgins Middle School Peabody Education Foundation spelling program to help students improve their spelling, increase their vocabularies, learn concepts, and develop correct English usage that will help them all their lives. I believe the definition of correct English usage should also reflect inclusive language. Historically and in common practice, there are some particular areas where individuals and groups have been marginalized or have experienced discrimination through the use of exclusive language. In particular, people have experienced discrimination because of their culture, race and ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, age, disability, socioeconomic status, personal appearance, and where they live. Our current city charter is an example of language that discriminates against gender. I believe inclusive language means language that has been carefully constructed in ways that treat all people with respect and impartiality. To accomplish this, we must keep the following generic questions in mind. Is it necessary to refer to personal characteristics such as sex, religion, racial group, disability, or age at all? Are the references to group characteristics couched in inclusive terms? Do the references to people reflect the diversity of the intended audience? I ask that you consider me for a spot on the Charter Review Committee, and I pledge to give thoughtful consideration to any issue raised as part of our Charter's review. Thank you for this opportunity to serve.
Thank you, Sudi. And next up will be Effie Wilkins. I assume she's not here. Okay. Is Effie Wilkins here? Her not being here, I assume figures her documentation will stand on its own. At this time, I'd call upon the City Council to, there's a ballot in front of you. You have to place your name on the ballot and vote for no more than 3. You'll submit your ballots to the city clerk. These are public records. And he will do a tally, and then we will see who we're selecting. And again, I want to thank all the people who came tonight and presented. You're all incredibly talented candidates, and we really, really, I wish I could say there's a place for everybody. Okay, with all ballots currently collected, we'll take a short recess while the clerk tallies. Again, I thank you all for your patience. Our city clerk, who's used to, had a lot of practice this week counting votes. I'm able to say that we will not need a second ballot. that the 3 members on the committee, as elected by the City Council, each receiving 8 votes, Mr. Gilbert, Ms. Peach, and Ms. Smola. So we want to, again, thank you for your volunteering to service, and we hope it's a rewarding experience, and that we appreciate everybody that came out and everybody that put their name in. So we have Mr. Gilbert, Ms. Peach, and Ms. Smola. Thank you.